I would consider Avatar: The Last Airbender to be a perfect show. Well, except for that episode that I tend to skip. What's good, guys? It's Alissa. If you're new here, hello. It's about time I started talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender on my channel again, and I should probably lead with love, but I gotta get this off my chest. The episode I consider to be the worst is Season 3, Episode 9, titled Nightmares and Daydreams. And no, not that one song that comes on at parties where we only sing that one specific line for. Let's get into it. The episode starts with Sokka leading Team Avatar to the rendezvous point where his dad and the others will meet them before the invasion. Before this though, the gang found a calendar that showed them that there will be a solar eclipse, which will hinder the Firebenders' abilities, allowing them to invade the Fire Nation. Aang, being the Avatar, has to lead them in this invasion and be the one to take down Fire Lord Ozai, and he feels like it's only for him to do. As they are settling down to relax after their treacherous journey, Katara announces that they are 4 days ahead of schedule. The announcement of this fact, however, completely freaks Aang out.
Whatever. That's like 4 days from now. Let's just calm down and...
When Sokka falls asleep, Katara suggests that Aang and the rest of them get some much needed sleep as well. But when Aang closes his eyes to sleep, he begins having a nightmare. Being a nerd myself and being friends with some nerds, I have went to the movies on occasion to see some Dragon Ball movies, which is the only Dragon Ball media that I've consumed. But in saying that, I can recognize that Aang is supposed to be a reference to Goku from Dragon Ball in this part. And this is one of the many references in this episode. I may not recognize all of them, but I'll put them on screen for you guys. Let me know if you recognize any of these references, because I just feel like they are, since this is kind of a filler episode. Anyway, Aang confronts Fire Lord Ozai, who is shown as this big Bowser-like figure instead of just a man, which he is. With Aang confident and ready to defeat him, Ozai points out that he doesn't even have on pants. Although silly, since this is a children's show, I can recognize that the pants are a metaphor for how unprepared Aang feels for this invasion. Aang wakes up from this nightmare and interprets his dream as a sign that he needs to continue to train and prepare for this invasion, so that he's not blindsided by something as minor as forgetting his pants. So he gets to training. We get a Zuko subplot where he is now being accepted in the Fire Nation as a prince. Just last season, Zuko was still a banished prince fighting to have his honor restored from his dad. But with his dad and the rest of the world now thinking that Zuko killed Aang, the Avatar, which we know is not true, he's welcomed back with open arms into the Fire Nation. The prince treatment is so strong that they won't even allow Zuko to walk to May's house and offer him to take the palanquin. I actually learned what a palanquin was from Steven Universe. Katara and the rest of the gang wake up to see Aang fighting a tree. Katara warns him that there is a such thing as overtraining. Aang is concerned because he still doesn't know firebending, as they plan on invading the Fire Nation. But the whole point of them invading on the day of the Black Sun is because the solar eclipse will actually halt all firebending, so he wouldn't need to learn that element anyway, as of right now.
Plus, it's a stupid element.
Aang is deliberately trying to prolong a good night's rest.
Good night, Toph. Good night, Appa. Good night, Momo. Good night, Appa and Momo.
Go to sleep already!
When Aang finally closes his eyes to go to sleep, we're met with another nightmare. And to me, dreams are way worse when you're stressed or have suppressed feelings. I haven't slept through the night in months. This time, Aang makes a grand entrance, making sure to have his pants chained down. But he was not prepared for the math test that Fire Lord Ozai throws at him. Katara becomes worried when she finds Aang training in the middle of the night when he should be getting rest, per her request. We're met again with some Zuko and May scenes. Get it off my screen, boo. I kid, but no really. Zuko and May are enjoying the time they get to spend together, booed up with a view of the city. May drops some information on Zuko that he wasn't aware of, that there will be an all-day war meeting coming up. Zuko, being a banished prince at one point in time, does not take this information well. When he brought this to the attention of his sister Azula, she claims that maybe they didn't invite him because it goes without saying that he's invited because he's the prince. But when Zuko asks Azula if she was invited, she replied,
Of course, I'm the princess.
Later in the episode, Aang's nightmares haven't stopped. He has a dream that isn't in the usual arena of his other ones. This time, Fire Lord Ozai meets him at his resting place to tell him that he overslept and he missed the invasion. Which of course would be impossible because to their knowledge, the Fire Lord is unaware of the invasion and their current whereabouts. Aang wakes up Sokka, worried that he really missed the invasion. This wakes up Toph, and she's annoyed because they're still 2 days before the invasion and they're still ahead of schedule. But this doesn't calm Aang down in any way, because he tells Sokka that he had a dream that he was running from Fire Nation soldiers and had to clear a cliff, but he was too slow, so they caught him. And of course, he's the Avatar, so Sokka listens to him and starts climbing that cliff. And contrary to Sokka claiming to be a great climber, he doesn't even make it to the top of the cliff and ends up falling. So there may have been some truth to that dream. And it doesn't stop there. Aang also expresses that he had another dream where Toph had to use the bathroom in the middle of the invasion, and because of her tiny bladder, they died. Then another dream that Katara's hair got caught in a train and suggests that she start wearing her hair up. Aang's hysteria causes Katara to point out that he's unraveling.
It's like every time I think about how stressed I am, I just end up more stressed.
And to agree with Sokka's point, it would be a little brow-raising if Aang was chill in a high-stakes moment like this, because their whole operation is riding on him to succeed. A 12-year-old boy who still has not mastered any firebending to defeat Fire Lord Ozai in one night. Could have been a little better on his delivery though, because as Katara pointed out, he's not helping. So Katara, with the help of the rest of Team Avatar, tries to de-stress Aang by using a number of techniques. Katara tries to wind Aang down by doing hot yoga. This doesn't help because the steam and heat engulfing him makes him think about fire, in turn making him think about the Fire Lord. Then Sokka attempts to have a faux therapy session, but this only irritates Aang because Sokka is pretending as though he doesn't know him. It probably would have helped better if he came to him as a friend. Toph's method, of course, didn't help Aang because they're so opposite, being earth and airbenders. She attempts to pound the stress out of his back using stones.
Sorry, I forgot you have baby skin.
But what really ran him away was the suggestion of acupuncture. After all their efforts, Katara asks if he's feeling any better, and his response was not reassuring in the slightest.
I kinda think I sorta might slightly feel a little better. Maybe.
Zuko is still sulking after his conversation with Azula, where in the end he declared he wasn't going to the meeting. May tells him that he shouldn't even be upset because it's just a dumb war meeting. But let me rant for a second. Zuko and May are cute together, yes. However, it's in this moment that you realize that May is not necessarily good at reading how Zuko needs to be comforted in a moment like this. And honestly, I don't think anyone really does know how. Even Uncle Iroh has some trouble with this. But Zuko, being the embodiment of an angsty teen, has to take some time to marinate to actually understand the gems that Uncle Iroh was dropping on him. To Zuko, an invitation like this would solidify that his dad is actually accepting him with open arms, not just allowing him to masquerade around the palace receiving royal treatment. May points out that he shouldn't want to go to this meeting anyway because of what happened at the last war meeting, where Zuko spoke out of turn and was made an example of. Zuko may still have some harboring feelings about that situation, and this moment will be the perfect time to rectify that. Then May goes to suggest that riding around in the palanquin and ordering some servants around would make Zuko feel better. Although Zuko is a child of royalty, his formative years were spent on the run trying to find the Avatar. So just like in the beginning of the episode where he declined the palanquin ride to walk across the street, the massages, and the fresh fruit, it's taking him some time to adjust to this lifestyle. The day before the invasion, a servant comes to Zuko telling him that they're waiting for him inside the meeting. The Fire Lord and Princess Azula are there, and he's the only one missing. Zuko is relieved to hear this, that his father actually wants him in the meeting with him. After the meeting, Zuko claims that everyone welcomed him, and his father even saved him a seat. But even in Zuko delivering this message to May, he's pretty ambivalent in his tone. He felt like the perfect prince, the son that his father always wanted, but he admits that it just wasn't him. Of course, he and Team Avatar are aware of the fact that he didn't actually kill Aang. So even after Zuko gets everything he ever wanted, it doesn't rightfully feel earned. This also may be why Zuko was feeling on edge about his father not inviting him to the war meeting. He may have been speculating that he wasn't invited due to the possibility that his dad, or even Azula, knows that he's not the perfect prince, but instead a fraudulent prince for keeping up this facade. You can support the channel by subscribing to my Patreon. Link in my description box down below. Okay, bye. Aang's nightmares, of course, are not over. His dreams have become a little more psychologically scary. He begins to see images of his past and even an image of Toph without eyes. His friends start to become swallowed up by elements and Aang is unable to save them. This horrifying nightmare actually makes him wake up screaming in terror. If my sisters are watching this video, I apologize for all the times that I have woken you up in screaming terror. Hi, my name is Alissa, and I am a victim of hypnagogic hallucinations. Do not invite me to sleepovers. Moving on, this is Aang's final straw. He declares that he's gonna stay awake all the way until the invasion. Doesn't take a genius to know that this is a horrible idea. This is where Aang's nightmares become daydreams. He starts to hallucinate a conversation that he's having with Katara, turning the conversation into a declaration of his love and letting her know why he's fighting so hard to save the world. And it's because he loves her. Wait, is your heart on the side? Right hand over your heart, okay.
Baby, you're my forever girl.
Katara and Aang kiss. Boo. Get it off my screen. Sorry. I am a Zutara shipper. However, this is where the episode starts to lose me. Oddly, with 6 minutes left in the runtime. Aang goes even harder on his training efforts, which are all unsuccessful. Then Aang starts to hallucinate that Momo begins to speak, and so does Appa. Then we go into a fight sequence with Momo and Appa that only Aang can see.
Let me explain.
Pretty sure there are a million references jam-packed into this one segment as well. You can't deny that Avatar: The Last Airbender is a funny ass show. Even with this episode not being my favorite, it still managed to get some laughs out of me. It's actually one of those things that I really like about this show as opposed to the serious tone of The Legend of Korra, which I actually do enjoy The Legend of Korra. But since Avatar has a way younger demographic of kids as its main cast, they're able to be goofy without it feeling out of place. That was always a factor that I enjoyed watching the show as a kid. Like, dang, how come my childhood didn't consist of bending elements and having a group of day ones to save the world? Aang finally admits that he's avoiding his sleep so that he can avoid his nightmares. After the battle between Momo and Appa, Katara, Toph, and Sokka create the perfect sleep haven for Aang to finally shut his eyes. Aang, aware that he's been daydreaming, thinks that this is one of his hallucinations.
Hey, it's real. We spent hours working on it.
And he refuses to fall for their trap. He feels he doesn't deserve sleep because he's simply not prepared for this invasion, claiming that he doesn't need sleep, but instead he just needs practice. Katara reassures him that he's been ready for this invasion since the day that they met.
You can do this. You're ready.
You're the man, Twinkle Toes.
And this is just what Aang needed to hear, and he's finally able to lay down and get some proper sleep. In the final dream sequence, Aang confidently confronts Fire Lord Ozai. Ozai attempts to throw Aang off his high horse by claiming again that he's not wearing pants. But in a silly turn of events, it's Ozai who's not wearing pants, reassuring not only us as the viewer, but Aang as well, that he is in fact prepared for the invasion on the day of the Black Sun. It's unfortunate that this episode comes right after one of the best episodes of the entire series, The Puppet Master. Because after all the highs of watching all the other episodes in the series, then getting to this one is kind of a letdown to me. But I want to leave with love. I haven't done an Avatar: The Last Airbender rewatch in a while, and watching this one as a standalone actually wasn't that bad. And the Zuko subplot is actually really great. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you would like to keep up with me outside of YouTube, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram. All that information is always in my description box down below, along with any music that I use in my videos. But if you made it to the end of this video, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up, make sure you subscribe to my channel, and make sure you hit that notification bell to stay up to date with posts and uploads from me. But for now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I hope to see you guys in my next video. Peace.